Our next presenter is Dr. Jan Toma, an accomplished associate research professor and Fulbright U.S. scholar at George Washington University Department of Clinical Research and Leadership. He was born in Chisinau, Moldova. Dr. Toma's impressive journey includes a medical degree from the State Medical and Pharmaceutical University, clinical trainings in emergency medicine and intensive care, and a PhD in clinical toxicology. After immigrating to the United States, he earned his MS in Clinical Research Administration from George Washington University. Since 2003, he has been a dedicated faculty member there, focusing on genomic medicine and bioinformatics. Dr. Toma's research on genomic biomarkers has earned him recognition, including membership in the U.S. National Academy of Inventors and 2 U.S. Fulbright Scholar Fellowships. His current collaborations aim to enhance Moldova's scientific and academic community to improve grant processes and international partnerships. So let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Jan Toma.
Thank you very much. Screen sharing. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, hold on just a second. Let me move around my. Okay. Give me a second. I need to reshade. Okay, so. Sorry. Okay, I believe you're seeing my screen without my notes, right? Or you're seeing my notes too?
Yes, we are. Yes.
You're seeing the notes, right?
No, we're not seeing the notes. We're not.
Okay, because in my screen I have 3 screens, and I'm getting confused which one you're seeing. So
no,
I don't want to show you my personal information.
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and to see some familiar faces, names, and meet some new people attending this conference. As mentioned, I am an associate research professor with the Department of Clinical Research and Leadership at the George Washington University. I would like to share with you my views and experience on the research landscape in Moldova, being the only representative of Moldova in this esteemed audience. My experience in Romania is limited to just several school lectures, summer school lectures, and private communication with academic and research personnel. However, I think that both Moldova and Romania share similar challenges and obstacles in development of research and innovation activities. As mentioned, I have obtained my medical degree at the State Medical and Pharmaceutical University of Moldova and have had my clinical residency and PhD in Moscow. And also I have obtained a master's degree in the US, a PhD in genomics. The reason I mention it is because ideas and understanding when comparing the former Union or Russian science with Western US-based education and research. For the past 20 years, I have been a faculty and a research at JW, also performed several clinical research projects in Moldova. The bottom line, Moldova has inherited its research infrastructure entire system from the Soviet Union, and I believe Romania still has the same communist attitude when dealing with the research and innovation in the country. Unfortunately, not much has changed during the past 30 plus years of independence of Moldova. Today, Moldova has several dozens of higher education institutions, both public and recently private institutions, and a number of specialized private institutions, all of which are funded primarily by governmental public funds. Research and innovation activities are the main driver of a prosperous economy, and the countries with the highest GDP allocation for research and innovation have the most efficient development. Moldova joining the EU includes changing its current research and innovation system, which was assessed last year in an EU report. Basically, the conclusions were pretty obvious to anybody who is familiar with the current situation in Moldova. The fragmentation of Moldova, the fragmentation of the science system is manifested primarily in a fierce competition among universities and subcritical research units, recipients of limited public funds, and almost an inexistent cooperation on research and scientific projects. It creates a situation when lots of hungry people are sharing a small pie, and none of them are getting a full bite of it. In this case, the pie is not the vital food, but a remuneration for a specific talent or best performed task. It should be a reward for the best work shared equally among many attendees. The governance of science is also quite hectic, with outdated and dubious regulations, unclear chain of command, very generic national priorities, and lack of alignment of those priorities with specific economic needs. On top of the above, the political instability and uncertainty of funding prevents not only long-term research and innovation development, but also the international cooperation with local scientists. Specific challenges mentioned in the report relate to funding, the cornerstone of any research project. Moldova has one of the lowest level of research funding, which is 10 times lower compared to EU and half of what Romanian is spending. Its gross domestic spending on recent in the range of 0.2% compared to 2.93 average in Europe and 2.7 for OECD. Israel is the highest spender, and it spends about 6% of its GDP on the research and development, and US is spending around 3.5% P. But the total number of US spending is very expensive. It's very impressive at 860 billion US dollars. And even these small amounts that Moldova is spending inefficiently, and the spending is towards certain institutions, legacy, and conflicts of interest in some cases. The National Agency for Research and Development, which is administrator of the public funds for research and development, has a limited autonomy over the grants and restricted strategic space on administering the programs. So the summary of recommendation looks very reasonable and doable, and hopefully there will be a political wisdom to implement these recommendations. The majority of them relate to organizational and regulatory changes based on expertise of consultants, and aspects of grants administration would be an important resource for implementation. I personally plan to get involved in this change, looking for collaborators that would be willing and interested in joining the efforts. These are just a selected field where consultants and experts from diaspora can participate very actively. And certainly experts are needed to implement all these recommendations. Let me describe shortly the administrative units of research and innovation in Moldova and partially in Romania, because they are collaborated very strongly. The Ministry of Education and Research in Moldova, and respectively the Ministry of Research, Innovation and Digitalization in Romania, are governing all efforts, including funding from public resources. Both ministries, Dan Pirciun of Moldova and Bogdan Ivan of Romania, are the youngest members of the cabinet in their countries. They are both 33 years old, and I'm not implying that they are too young, but rather that they could be open for any changes and optimization efforts to make the research and innovation an effect main. People of Moldova appreciate very much that Romania has always supported Moldova economically and politically. As a member of EU, Romania has special funds available to support the projects and collaboration, with the latest call for about $5 million announced a couple of months ago. I just wish that Romania itself had a better research infrastructure so that Moldova would have access not only to funds, but also to the much needed expertise, including the people expertise in getting and applying for the grants. The details on the current Romanian and EU opportunities may be found on the web portal managed by the executive unit of the Ministry of Research, Innovation and Digitalization, and also on European ERC portals, which were presented on the first day of our conference by Jackson Howard of the Euraccess, North America. NHD, or NARD, National Agency for Research and Development in English, has also a specific portal for applicants and reviewers. The past several years, I have been reviewing the grant proposals made by scientists and researchers, and in my opinion, they need a lot of help in learning how to prepare a proposal, how to submit it, and how to manage it when the funds are dispersed. Overall, the quality of proposals are highly competitive on the international funding market. Training of personnel from NARD, from National Agency for Research and Development, and of local applicants will be one of the most important tasks that is aligned with the EU CFSP reports and recommendations. If we compare the national programs for research and innovation development of Romania and Moldova, both of them look very generic on the list of topics, facts that were also mentioned on the ERC report. It is not at all surprising, considering that many regulations and legislative initiatives in Moldova look very similar to those in Romania, despite different economic and social priorities. Anyway, diaspora can not only save the referendum and the presidential election as it happens in Moldova, but also help a lot in revamping the research and innovation system, at least in Moldova, which is a much smaller country and a more manageable task, in my opinion. Moldova's diaspora has a specific web portal hub where the members are encouraged to get registered and visit it for specific opportunities. I'm not sure about a unique registry for Romanian diaspora, but the one mentioned by the Ministry of Research and Innovation and Digitalization is called the Brain Map. And I'm very pleased to find out about the BioMed portal, which is a quite interesting resource for biomedical professionals, including those from all over the globe. The Brain Map itself, it's open not only for Romanians, but for people from any country who allegedly have any association with Romania. I found both Brain Map and the Moldovan diaspora websites not so informative, but definitely both of them may need some improvement, and that's also something that could be done with the help of diaspora. So far, it looks like I have only discussed the existing problems compared to everybody else who have presented more positive attitude toward Romanian and Moldova research and development. But I also would like to provide some of the potential solutions. And one of them is mobility grant, types of mobility grants that are available from Romania and Moldova for diaspora and professionals living and activating in different countries. Last week, on December 5th, the first of the mobility grants in Moldova has been implemented in the form of presentation by Norwegia from Norway, and Moldova has also a special program for temporary return of qualified professionals, and it's funded by the International Organization for Migration and the EU. of you would consider contributing to the changes in certain fields that relate to development of research and innovation in Moldova. There are no Moldovan citizenship restrictions to be eligible for the grant, but Romanian language is required along with respective professional records in the assigned field. The grant would cover the transportation, meals, and accommodation per United Nations standards, but consultancy fee are not included and could be negotiated with the inviting host or the beneficiary entity. The in-person visit is limited to 2 weeks, up to 2 weeks, and a single trip, which may not be sufficient for a more involved program. One of the best opportunities for US citizens as members of diaspora to contribute to the development of their country of birth is many Fulbright programs opportunities. In a way, Fulbright grant is similar to the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Award from ERC as being a personal grant for individual. There are many Romanian nationals visiting the US each year under Fulbright programs, and actually one of today's presenters, Ms. Larisa Tabara, is visiting the US under Fulbright program. As mentioned, I have had 2 US Scholar grants back in 2017-18 and last year, and also an assignment under the Fulbright Specialist Program. It is an exchange of visitors with the main purpose of improving the intercultural relations, cultural diplomacy, and intercultural competence between the people of the United States and other countries throughout the world, and through an exchange in person, knowledge and skills of every individual. Every year, Fulbright Association awards around 8,000 grants globally, with more than half of them to non-US nationals. The type of Fulbright award depends on your level of education and the seniority or specific tasks in case of a scholar grant. The US Scholar and US Specialist grants are the 2 types that I would recommend to consider to US members of diaspora, even if you are not part of an academic institution. The length of a scholar grant ranges from a semester, 3 months, to a full academic year, and the specialist is limited to 42 days per visit. This can be repeated several times a year during the 3-4 years as you get registered in the pool of specialists for Fulbright specialist programs. US Fulbright grant is one of the most prestigious awards in the US, and it's very strongly supported by the administrations of the US universities. It increases the prestige of universities, which in turn increases the appeal for potential students to apply for an educational program with a US university, which is also listed as a top Fulbright producer. The best part of it is that it provides a justification for a faculty to work abroad for an extended period of time. For example, I have had an extended visiting arm of 3 months, which I plan to use for helping the National Agency for Research and Development in making the recommended changes during my trip in spring 2025, while also teaching online my courses at GW. In addition to a stipend, which depends on your specific project type, research or teaching, or combination of both, the benefits include the transportation, accommodation, and per diem, and health insurance, some other benefits. It gets a full support from the US Embassy, and the award opens many other social and cultural possibilities you would not get otherwise. It could also be used for country assignments, in this case for Moldova and Romania combined, providing you will be working with universities or beneficiaries from both countries. As a final word, I highly encourage the members of diaspora to consider applying for a Fulbright that would allow you to share the acquired expertise with our compatriots that were not so lucky to get exposed to this environment. A couple of words about my personal experience in performing clinical research in Moldova. Overall, I consider it very beneficial and convenient for clinical researchers who need to collect some preliminary data, or for CROs, clinical research organizations that are looking to perform clinical trials. My first Fulbright project included developing and teaching a bioinformatics program for medical doctoral students at the State Medical University, and an investigation of immune response to early vaccination of newborns from HIV-infected and healthy mothers. Both parts of my projects were successfully completed. I need to mention that Fulbright Awards does not provide resources for extensive research, such as was in my case. My research by 3 other grants from United States, DC, CFAR, Children's National Institute of Health, and National Institute of Health. At the end of my first mission, I had initiated another project in Moldova, which was completed last year, and it's the discovery of genomic biomarkers of colorectal cancer, which is treatable disease, but it's very spread in both Romania and Moldova. Overall, in my first project route, in just 1 year, over 100 pairs of mother-child patients, and that would take me 5 to 10 years to do in the United States, if possible at all. And my second project recruited 200 patients, each of whom had a colonoscopy performed with collection of relevant clinical data. I'm very grateful for these opportunities and to local personnel knowledgeable and well prepared. Moldova, as we all know, does not have natural resources-based economy. Its only hope to improve its economy is the human intellectual potential, and we know Moldova has many talented and smart people that could benefit from a better research and innovation system and environment. That is one of the major reasons that I would like to involve in these efforts, and would encourage the professionals from the diaspora to also consider helping to improve the situation.
Thank you.
And a couple of words about, sorry, I don't
to
get
work
into
together, to
some
continue to work
details.
together. We're both passionate on this, and please continue. Sorry.
Yeah, my email is in this QR code questions that you have, and we'll help you with practical suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you again. And that concludes our public health and medical sciences